said to him, "Truly, your wife has a right upon you. It is a right of the wife upon the husband that he treat co-wives, if any, in a just and equitable manner. He must be equitable and equal with respect to food, drink, clothing, housing, and spending the nights in their beds. It is not permissible for him to be unfair, unjust, or wrongful in any of these matters, as such is forbidden by Allah." The Prophet said, "Whoever has two wives and shows favoritism to one of them will come on the day of judgment with one of his sides hanging down." Dear brothers in Islam, these are the rights of your wives upon you. It is obligatory upon you to strive to fulfill these rights of theirs. You should not spare any effort in that, as fulfilling these rights is one of the causes for your happiness in married life. It is also one of the causes for the peace and security of your household, and the key to keeping it free of domestic problems that rob the household of serenity, tranquility, affection, and mercy. We also remind the woman of the necessity of overlooking some of the shortcomings of their husbands with respect to these rights, and that they respond to the shortcomings of the men by striving to serve and help them, as they will contribute to the overall happiness of marital life. The rights of the husband upon the wife. The right of the husband upon the wife is great. The Prophet pointed out its greatness in the hadith recorded by Al-Hakim and others from Abu Sa'id. The right of the husband over his wife is so great that even if she were to lick his wound, she would not have fulfilled his right. The intelligent woman is the one magnifies whatever Allah and His Messenger have magnified. She is the one who respects the magnitude of the right of her husband. Thus, she strives to obey him as obeying him in one of the acts that can lead one to paradise. The Prophet said, "If a woman prays her 5 daily prayers, fasts a month of Ramadan, protects her chastity, and obeys her husband, it will be said to her, 'Enter paradise through any of the doors of paradise you wish.'" Consider, dear Muslim sister, how the Prophet made obedience to one's spouse as one of the acts that lead to paradise, like the prayers and fasts. Therefore, adhere to obeying him and refrain from disobeying him, for in a disobedience to the husband lies the anger of the Lord. The Prophet said, "By the one in whose hand is my soul, no man calls his wife to her bed and she refuses, except that the one in the heaven is angry with her, until he, her husband, becomes pleased with her." It is obligatory upon you, dear Muslim woman, to behave toward your husband by listening and obeying everything that he asks you to do. That is not in contradiction to Islamic law. However, be completely aware of going to an extreme with respect to such obedience to the point that you obey him in sinful matters. If you if you do if you do that, then you will also be sinful. An example of this nature would be obeying him in removing hair from one's face as a means of beautification, while the Prophet cursed the one who removes eyebrow hairs and the one who asks for it to be done. Another example would be obeying him in removing the headscarf while going out of one's house because he likes to boast about his wife's beauty in front of others. The Prophet has said, two classes of people are from the inhabitants of hell that I have not seen. People who have whips like the tails of cows, with which they whip the people, women who are dressed but naked, inclining to evil, and making their husbands incline towards it. Their heads would be like humps of the camel inclined to one side. They will not enter paradise, nor will they smell its scent, until its scent can be experienced for such and such a distance. Another example would be obeying him in having sexual intercourse while on one's period, or other acts that Allah has not permitted. The Prophet said, whoever has intercourse with a menstruating woman or commits sodomy with a woman has committed disbelief in what has been revealed to Muhammad. Another example is obeying him in appearing in front of men and shaking their hands. Allah has said, and when you ask his wives for anything you want, ask them from behind a screen. The Prophet also said, do not enter upon woman. It was said, O Messenger of Allah, what do you say about the male-in-law? He replied, the male-in-law is death. All other acts of disobedience to the Lord may be treated as analogues to these cases. Do not let the obligation of obeying your husband deceive you into thinking that you must obey your husband even in sinful acts. Obedience is only in matters that are lawful. There is no obedience to a created being of something which involves disobedience to the Creator. A right of the husband upon his wife is that she guard her honor and also guard his honor. She should also look after his wealth, children, and other household affairs. Allah has said, therefore the righteous women are devoutly obedient to Allah and to their husbands, and guard in the husband's absence what Allah orders them to guard, their chastity, their husband's property. The Prophet also said, the woman is a guardian over the household of her husband, and she will be asked about her responsibility. It is the right of the husband to have the wife beautify herself for him, and that she have a pleasant smile on her face instead of